Cloud computing means change and opportunity for individuals and organizations. How does it impact you and your employees? What changes can we expect for people working in cloud environments? Who's going to be most affected, and how will it impact each person?
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the biggest things is going to impact every role. Everybody within the company is going to be impacted by cloud. It doesn't have to be an IT project. It can be other parts of the company that are going to use cloud to support what they're doing. So we'll find it across every part of the roles.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea that people are ready for cloud because they're treating their IT projects differently. I get people coming to me and say, oh, we're really happy with the way that we're adapting to cloud. Our infrastructure projects now are run differently. We've got different sets of tasks. Our application development, we plan it differently. We do our estimating differently. Well, it's a start, but every project's different. Risk management is going to change. Cloud is not more risky or less risky, it's a different set of risks. Quality standards have to be defined differently, and then they have to be measured against differently. The way that we handle resourcing is different, not just on project execution, but on when the operationalization of projects. It changes everything, and that's what people aren't yet understanding it.
Vijay, as a service provider, what would you add to that?
If you look at the people or the organization who consume IT, now the way they consume IT is completely different. So I'll give you an example. In the early days, in early 1900s, if you look at the industries, power is important. Power generation is important. They actually had their own power generation. It is like every organization having data centers today, they had power generation. They actually had VP of power generation titles and jobs there and people generating power. What happens over the time, that become a grid. And people now plug in to the walls and consume electricity and pay for what they use. So these organizations, the cloud is exactly the same model. So you can actually think about these data centers and now go and move into a cloud. Organizations are going to plug in and consume compute power, right, Andy?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and from the business side, they're going to be using it and requesting in different ways, and they've got to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
And we're finding more and more at Global Knowledge people coming to us, and we're teaching non-IT people an IT vocabulary, just enough for them to have intelligent conversations, to be able to speak within meetings, to be able to ask for the services that they want to use.
If you look at the traditional service provider IT organization, this is a silo model. If you look at an organizational chart, there's a VP, there's directors, and there's teams of network team and firewall team and server team and Windows, and it's very silo. And they all make their own decisions. And they bring those technologies, put them together, and deliver one service. That is a big problem. The industry has changed now. The vendors like Cisco, IBM, and HP, and Dell, they all deliver converged infrastructure. It's all virtualized, integrated, automated, converged infrastructures. You cannot have 5 people logging into this one little box trying to troubleshoot. So you have to have now teams that have depth of knowledge. They have to have knowledge end to end. And one person or two have to log in and troubleshoot the entire thing.
Andy, what will happen if people don't adapt to these changes?
Cloud is real. Cloud's here. The decision about whether or not cloud is right for an organization should be over with. If you're not doing it, your competitors darn well are. And the same thing applies to employees, whether or not that's the person in the corner office, whether it's the person in the mailroom. It's got to be something that people adapt to. You've got to be prepared to adapt to the way you work to deal with cloud. Because if you're not, the person sitting across the cubicle wall is your competitor for that next position. Employees have to recognize that. HR, training departments have to recognize that. And they have to help skill their organization for this brave new world. If they don't, well, they're in trouble.
There's no doubt cloud computing is here to stay, and it could mean significant job changes for many people. Join us for our next video to find out what you need to do to stay up to date. To learn more, join Global Knowledge for its free webinar series starting June 18th. Details below this video.